In lesson 4-4, we'll be using greatest common factors to simplify fractions into simplest form. Equivalent fractions. Examples of equivalent fractions for 1/2 are 2/4, 3/6, and 4/8. All of these ways are ways to write the fraction 1/2. Simplest form for 1/2 would be written as 1/2. In example number 1, write 12/45 in simplest form. In order to get 12/45 into simplest form, we must first figure out what is the greatest common factor of 12 and 45. So we need to find a number that can divide into both of those numbers. To do this, I will use the L method that we used yesterday in finding greatest common factors to determine what is my greatest common factor. I know that 3 goes into both 12 and 45 because my divisibility rules of 3. 3 goes into 12 4 times. 3 goes into 45 15 times. Since there are no other numbers that go into both 4 and 15, that means 3 is our greatest common factor. And what the L method actually does for me as well is it gives me the simplest form right there, 4/15. Because I'm already dividing by 3 to both numbers, and I'm left with the numbers in simplest form. Another way to show this would be to write the fraction 12/45 and to divide both top and bottom of the fraction by 3 to get 4/15. You can do this method when you already know the greatest common factor. However, if you don't currently know the greatest common factor, you can use the L method and know that at the end you will have your answer. Example number 2, 40/64. Using the L method, I'll write both of my numbers 40 and 64 side by side. I'll draw my L bracket. I know that 8 goes into both those numbers, but if I didn't know that right away, I could maybe start with the factor of 2. 2 goes into 40 20 times. 2 goes into 64 32 times. I see that I can still break these numbers down further, so I'll make another L bracket, and it looks like 4 can go into both of these numbers. 4 goes into 20 5 times, and 4 goes into 32 8 times. Now, I don't have any other numbers that go into 5 or 8, so my greatest common factor can be found on the left-hand side of my L bracket, and I need to multiply those together. So 8 is my greatest common factor. Now, again, when you look at the bottom of the L bracket, your 5 and 8 are right there for you. 5 is the numerator because 40 was on top, and 8 is the denominator because 64 was on the right. So my simplest form of 40/64 is 5/8. Again, if you knew that 8 was the greatest common factor right away, you could simply divide the numerator and denominator by 8 to get 5/8. But the reason the L method works well is because if we don't know the greatest common factor right away, this allows us to work all the way through and get our simplest form. Example number 3, marbles. In a bag of 96 marbles, 18 of the marbles are black. Write the fraction of black marbles in simplest form. So the fraction of black marbles right now is 18 out of 96. And I'm going to start by using the L method. 18 on the left, 96 on the right. I'll write my L bracket. I'm going to check my divisibility rules of 3. 1 and 8 make 9, and 9 and 6 make 15. So 3 can divide into both of those numbers. 3 goes into 18 6 times, and 3 goes into 9 3 times, and 6 2 times. I see that I still have 2 even numbers, so I will continue with my L bracket. I will divide by 2 to get 3 and 16. Since there are no other numbers that can go into both 3 and 16, I know my greatest common factor is 6. But by using the L method, I not only find the greatest common factor, I also know my numerator and my denominator. So 3/16 is the simplest form of 18/96. If you did know that 6 was the greatest common factor, you could start by writing 18 over 96, divide the numerator by 6, divide the denominator by 6, and you would get 3/16. 15 inches is what fraction in simplest form of a yard? 15 inches is my part that I'm looking for, and I know that I have 36 inches in a yard. Okay, I need to break this into simplest form. So I don't know what the greatest common factor of both of these numbers is going to be, so I will start by using the L method. 15 and 36. Here's my L bracket. I know that 3 goes into 15, and it looks like 3 will be able to go into 36 as well. 3 goes into 15 5 times. 3 goes into 36 12 times. So not only do I know that my greatest common factor is 3, but I know that 15 will simplify to be 5, and 36 will simplify to be 12. So my fraction in simplest form is 5/12. If I knew that right away, I could write 15 over 36, divide the numerator by 3, divide the denominator by 3 to get 5/12. Either way, you're going to get the same answer, but doing it with the L method, you don't need to know the greatest common factor right off the bat. In example number 5, 35 cents is what fraction in simplest form of a dollar? So we are looking for 35 cents as a fraction in simplest form of a dollar. There are 100 cents in a dollar. So I will start with my L method, 35 and 100. I know that since both numbers end in either 5 or 0, I can use 5 as a common factor. 5 goes into 35 7 times, 5 goes into 10 twice, and 0 0 times. So I just found out that my greatest common factor of 35 and 100 is 5, because there are no other numbers that can go into both 7 and 20. And so my fraction in simplest form is 7/20. If I knew that right away, I could take 35 out of 100 and divide the numerator by 5, and divide the denominator by 5 to get 7/20. Again, either way, the answers are exactly the same.